AIM-listed Power Metal Resources is a global multi-commodity project group with 14 different commodity projects around the globe. Some are early stage exploration, some are being drilled as we speak, and others are being spun off into separate companies and being prepared for IPOs. I'm joined once again by Chief Executive Paul Johnson to bring us up to date on progress. Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
Hello, Alan. I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Very good indeed. Now, on a recent research podcast, I attempted to summarize your investment proposition by packaging and comparing projects such as New Ballarat Gold Company and the Athabasca Basin Uranium Project with standalone valuations of other listed companies focused on just those commodities. I then added in the pre-IPO stake valuations for upcoming spin-offs, followed by standalone project valuations such as the Tati project in Botswana. Obviously, we're in the middle of some pretty poor markets at the moment. In fact, I think we were speaking earlier and we mentioned the term capitulation. Is that too strong a term?
No, I think it's about right. What we're feeling at the moment is that pain of nothing seems to work out for these junior companies across the sector. Power's one of them. I'm not going to make any excuses. My job is to drive the share price higher. Ultimately, it's the only benchmark that investors ultimately appreciate, as they should. I've been around the markets now for a long period of time, coming up to 15 years invested in the junior resource space. I don't know how many of these pullback dips I've seen, maybe 10, I don't know, 8 to 12 maybe over the period. And it's the same situation every time. You've got to be strong. You've got to be confident. You've got to be bold and brave and do things that go against the very nature. What you're feeling, the concerns, the frustrations, the worries, the sadness that your opportunity isn't seemingly there, that you're not making the money you hoped you could. You're not changing your life in the way that you could, but it's coming. There's talk of a market crash and everything's really going to collapse. Well, I don't know. Generally speaking, these big market crashes tend to come when people are not talking about it. So I think we're in a phase, and I think for our junior resource space, we're in a particular phase. The world hasn't stopped turning. The cars, the new efficient, the green technology projects haven't stopped. The consumption around the world hasn't stopped. It will continue. Now, there will be phases, recessions in certain countries. There'll be difficult economic challenges around the world. There'll be certain sectors doing better than others. But ultimately, our insatiable demand for commodities hasn't really changed. And there just isn't supply. And you've seen that with the metal prices, and they pulled back the metal prices recently. I don't think they're going to pull back much more, to be honest. I think we're going to see a really big resurgence in our space, and it's about time we saw it, because these junior companies that are going to supply the leading projects to the mid-tiers and the majors over the next few decades have been crushed relentlessly for 15 months now. It's absolutely absurd, and it will turn around as it always does.
Yes, and also we're in the middle of May, of course, and there's an old saying in the markets, go away in May. So that has rung true on several years that I've been in the markets recently. So I think this is another period. So
it might be. I'm going to sell in May and go away. Don't come back till St. Ledger Day.
St. Ledger's Day, that's it.
I tell you what, Alan, if I'd have followed that advice in 2010, I wouldn't have a fraction of the personal investment value I've got today in my portfolio, because that period in 2010 was a ripper. And I can tell you, in May, when the start of May 2010, my portfolio fell by about 40% in 3 weeks. And I was thinking capital preservation. I was thinking shifting my shares to, moving into different shares. I was thinking the management teams were off their head. They hadn't got control of their business. There was no future. And for some reason, I was a bit distracted in May 2010. I didn't sell everything. I didn't move around. I stayed focused. And at the end of 2010, 8 months later, my portfolio from that dip value had gone up 10 times. The market will deliver, but it won't do it on your timescale. It will do it when you don't expect it. And as one very significant figure in the mining space told me a few years ago, when the junior resource sector turns, it turns on a sixpence and it turns in a day. So it's not going to give you warning, but it's coming, that turn.
And on so many occasions in the past, we've seen more action in a day than in the prior 6 months, and that's the way the markets are, and that's why we're in them too. But just going to ask you now about the M&A situation. We saw news about Arc Minerals this morning, engaged in a potential takeover. Are you seeing a lot of activity and interest in your projects, Paul?
Oh, Arc was a big story today.
Yep.
It was only up circa 30%. I mean, that's amazing, really. That deal that was struck with Anglo, you'd expect them to be flying higher. Again, it's market conditions. It's not their fault. And I'm sure that value will feed through. It fell back, actually, from 30% up to only fractionally up a little before. It's just ridiculous, and it's indicative of what's happening in the space. Are we seeing M&A? We're seeing it around the world. You can see it in the stuff that's announced, as with Arc today. I was seeing it around our projects. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's clear as day. There is an inadequate number of projects in the majors and the mid-tiers. They are hunting. They're hunting down the line as well. They're going for the earliest stage projects. You've got to do the right deals with these parties. It's the time to be strong. I've talked before about Robert Friedland's Revenge of the Miners presentations. Well, it's the revenge of the juniors coming, because the juniors hold the key to unlocking the metals of the future. Absolutely, definitely. And we've got to be careful. There's no need to rush into transactional stuff at the minute. I mean, I think it's happening very quickly. I think there'll be a lot of deals announced in the market, and we want to be amongst that group with the right transactional things. And for me, it's important that if you're dealing with a major or a mid-tier, you want obviously you want the right structure of deal. Majors and mid-tiers, of course, are focused on multi-billion value projects. So if they come and get involved with you, they're obviously thinking a project you have has that potential, but you want to have immediate spend on those projects. You don't want it to be a very long tail deal where they can put it into their locker and worry about it in 3 years. You want the deal to instigate spend right now, so you get that news flow out to market. We have large district scale interests. In a number of jurisdictions. It's exactly the type of project that these companies are looking for. We could have sat on our portfolio, and we could sit in our portfolio today. We've spent a lot of money on developing all of our projects. We're ahead of our spend requirements across most of our projects at the moment. If we wanted to just say, hey, these are options, let's sit and wait, we can. But we've taken a view that we're going to push our projects forward, most of them through early stage exploration. We're going to go up that value curve so that when we do get engagement from outside on a particular project, we've got some evidence of that project's potential.
So, Paul, we've spoken about all these projects and the majors circulating. You've got projects, of course. You've got a tungsten interest in the US. You've got projects in Botswana. Tell us about the projects that really stand out for you right now.
Yeah, okay. So I have avoided that question in the past, but let's get straight to it. I've got to be careful because certain of these projects I referenced were in IPO packages, but let's just keep it generic and call it the Power Metal Group. North America, without question, the Pilot Mountain Tungsten project was a real winner for us to get that in the package or the business package last year. We have got one of the most strategic tungsten resources in North America. We are at a time when tungsten is a strategic critical mineral for the United States. We're in the heart of mining territory with Nevada, USA. We've got a significant mineral resource estimate, and we think we've got considerable potential upside that we can tap into through exploration. So that project for us, one of our largest acquisitions, was a great winner. People talk a lot, quite rightly, about the uranium package in the Athabasca Basin. It was pegged very quickly and efficiently with Oliver Friesen and his knowledge of that area. We were able to put together 7 projects, 450 square kilometers of ground, right in the heart of the super hot uranium territory. Without question, that package will deliver value for our business in various forms as we move forward over the next few weeks and months. In Africa, the Malopo Farms Complex project is a great example of how juniors should take the risk with the big exploration programs. Our first program slamming into that nickel sulfide, getting some good nickel grade only over short intersections, big targets emerging from that. We want to crack on and do the drill program there to move that forward. We're very excited about Malopo. Some corporate stuff to do, as we've talked about with regard to the vehicle, but the exploration upside is dramatic. My old stomping ground, the Kalahari Copperbelt, where we made the T3 discovery in Botswana with Metal Tiger. Well, we're back there again. We're following a rigorous, disciplined methodology with the soil sampling, looking for the pathfinder minerals, targeting across 4,500 square kilometers of ground, the major targets, looking for copper, silver mineralization. Huge opportunity for us. It's been a bit quiet because we've been doing a lot of preparatory work in the background, but that has to be size and scale and potential one of our best interests. That's 50-50 JV with Kavango Resources. So I guess that's Africa. You've got to remember we have a whole heap of different projects, and we can't cover them all in a short interview. And some of them, of course, we're going through the developmental process with exploration and drilling and corporate work as well. And so other projects will likely come into the flagship category, in due course as we move our business forward. In Australia, we've got the new Ballarat Gold interest in Victoria Goldfields, 2,300 square kilometres of ground, majority of it in granted status, with a team on the ground doing some great work. They've been doing drilling recently. They're carrying on with general exploration, and we're, looking forward to announcing further assay results from the drill program. It's difficult to put together that kind of package in the normal market climate, but when we did it in 2020, things were a bit suppressed. There was a window of opportunity, and we jumped on it. First Development Resources. I've got the T-shirt on today, and we've got that package up there in the Patterson region. We're chasing magnetic bullseyes. Anyone familiar with the Greatland Gold story will know what they are. Very excited about that. We bolted on the CELTA project, rare earths and uranium in the Northern Territory, which is emerging as a fantastic, fantastic project. I had a hunch when we took it on, but it's really, really delivered for us. So, we kind of as a business don't have one flagship project. Sometimes maybe I wish we did, because then I could produce lots of charts, maps, diagrams, and I could talk endlessly on interviews such as this about, look at this, look at what we've got, build up the anticipation, not do an awful lot of work in the background, and then do one drill program a year, and that would sustain the business and the shareholders' interest. Alan, we may even have a bigger market cap at the moment if we'd have gone down that route, but we haven't. Yeah, we've gone for scale, we've gone for size, we've gone to build the group, the Powermetal Group, into one of the most powerful, different, sustainable, driven organizations. And we're not built it for today and for conditions like today. We've built it for when the market comes to life, which it will, and where people are looking for the next big organization. We think we got the projects to make that happen and to build our business very aggressively over the coming months and years.
Okay, so taking that overview, some investors, of course, will be focused on the near term, despite the fact that we are in very difficult markets at the moment. Yeah. What near-term milestones should shareholders be looking for?
Yeah, I had to fight with myself over the years on this as an investor. I made my big money, as that Jesse Livermore quote says. I think that the money was made not in the buying, but in the waiting.
Yes.
I think a lot of us like to pretend, and I still struggle with it, pretend that we're investors. We're not. We have a trader mindset. We look at the price every day. I do. We get disappointed when it goes down 5%, 10%, 40%. And that is going to cause you grief. It's going to cause you personal difficulty. It's going to make it a very challenging investing environment for you. You've got to pick, I think, for the big returns, those companies that you think are undervalued, have the best potential to drive the valuation even higher, and then stick with it. But that aside, near term is important for people. I have to respect that. Our business has dramatic amounts of news flow. We've managed to trim it a little bit by doing quarterly reports, to put information into quarterly reports. We have newsletters and other things to reduce the volume, because it was, I think, too much for people recently, but now it's become a little bit more controlled, which is good. If you look at our active projects, we have news flow coming out of, I've got to remember this, it's quite tricky. We've got the drill program that we completed in Australia, where we have further assay results and also field information to come out from the Australian project. We've got the Haneti drill program in Tanzania with our partners Katoro Gold, where we still got to feed news out to market on the results from that program. Good. We've got the Ditau project in Botswana. It does excite me, that project, and what might be, but we'll see. Where we've got a drill that's in process at the moment, and obviously there'll be results from the field and drill assays from there. Across our business, we've got exploration happening literally around the world. It's almost a 24/7 business at the moment, and we've got corporate work happening, a lot of corporate work that we hope will deliver major value for investors. So there will be a regular feed of news. There'll come a time, Alan, when our news comes out, and if it's positive news, the share price will go up. Now, I know that's a blasé, crazy promise in our world.
It will
today.
happen, Paul. I have seen it before. Happen. It will happen.
Yeah, there was one of my broking contacts always talks animatedly about the .com era back in around 99, 2000, and how for a period of time you would wake up in the morning and know that your shares would rise. Yes. You didn't know how much, but you knew they would rise. And you prayed.
And even if there was a TR1 where somebody sold shares, the share price would still go up because everyone would say, great, more shares for me.
They would, and they'd say, oh, thank goodness for that. We now know where the seller was, and the seller's reduced, and that's fantastic. And then if there was a placing done, everyone would go, well, that's amazing, because that means the company's got more capital to deploy in its projects. A fall in price is seen as a buying opportunity. A rise in price, often very, very rapid, is seen as ratification that the business is doing the right thing. A director being subdued on an interview would mean that he had something that was secretly developing in the background and he couldn't talk about it. A director being jubilant on an interview would be, oh man, this business is clearly going far faster and higher than we ever anticipated. There was in the good phases, and they'll come in the junior resource space to a level I don't think we've seen in history. And I think it will be soon. I could be wrong, but I think it will be soon, where the pressure is lifted off the shoulders of investors, where the opportunity is apparent and delivered through the markets. And there's certain of our investors say to me, don't say it, deliver it. Well, we are delivering it. We've had multiple significant items of news in our business. We're building a portfolio that is highly attractive to majors and mid-tiers. And I hope that will be articulated, as soon as possible, so that people can really switch on to that message. Now, our price hasn't moved for a year. From a major positive perspective, it's been moving down. It's been very frustrating for everybody. But I've got to focus on building this business in the right way. And there will be periods in our life when our share price goes up without us doing anything. And there'll be periods in our life as a company where our share price falls, despite quality work going on relentlessly in the background. It's the nature of markets and the disconnect between a market valuation and an underlying value of a company. But that is the opportunity, because if markets were perfectly valued every day of the week, how are you going to make your cash?
Yep.
You make your big money by buying in when there's a disproportionate undervaluation.
Yeah.
And I think we're in that zone.
As Warren Buffett said, buy when there's blood on the streets.
Did Warren Buffett say that?
Yes, Warren Buffett said that. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Pretty sure it was. Yeah. Pretty sure it was him. So, Paul, of course, it's in just over a week's time, we'll all be meeting up at the UK Investor Show, a chance to get out there and meet people after this long COVID lockdown. You're looking forward to that?
Oh, yeah. It's always good to see people face to face, meet a few old friends in the space, talk to the investors, find out what's going on in their lives. It's great to do the networking when things are a bit under pressure, because we all feel it. The investors feel it. The companies feel it. The better company directors who have a passion about their businesses feel the pain too. And it's great to get the support from the investors out there. The feedback via Twitter, emails, telephone conversations, where they talk about parts of our business and say, yeah, we appreciate the work you're doing. We can see what you're up to, see what you're building. When we get that stuff, we send it round. It lifts the team. We've got a brilliant group of people in this business. fantastic commitment to building great companies out of the Power Metal Group, and we're very excited about what we're doing. So come along. Most of the team will be at the event. Not just the 3 CEOs of Power, Golden Metal Resources and First Development Resources, but other members of the team. They'll all be identifiable. Come along and have a chat about what we're up to as a business. We'd love to see as many people as possible.
Well, Paul, the Power Metal juggernaut is certainly gathering pace. The markets aren't reflecting the value in the hard work that you and your team are doing at the moment. I look forward to seeing you at the show. Meanwhile, it just remains for me to say many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Alan.